Hi, welcome. If a court pronounces you guilty, but you know that you didn't do anything wrong, your mind is likely to be calm and clear. But if your mind tells you that you are guilty, how would you feel? I'm delighted to welcome you to another episode of Mindscape Matters, a channel to discuss mental health and more. I am Dr. Mohan Raj and I'll be with you as we discuss various facets of mental health. We are all capable of making mistakes, big or small. Not just capable of. We do commit mistakes on a regular basis and we feel guilty about it. Sometimes we commit the occasional blunder and feel terribly guilty. Guilt can be for an act we did or something we said. Guilt can also be for something that we did not do or did not say at the appropriate time. Other advantages of having guilt looks like there are. Let's look at it. First, guilt has shaped civilizations down the ages. As I had mentioned earlier, all of us have the capacity to make big mistakes. We might do it once and feel terribly guilty, and the guilt ensures that we do not repeat that mistake again. Sometimes we have a thought of doing something or a plan to do something, and the very thought of doing it evokes guilt, and we will not go ahead with our plan. This way, if a large group of people respond to their guilt and avoid certain actions, that civilization gets shaped. At an individual level, certain people have what is known as antisocial personality disorder, popularly known as psychopath. And one of the important traits of antisocial personality disorder is lack of guilt. Now, if we take our two-wheeler or four-wheeler on the road and have an accident and the victim has a fracture, we are bound to feel very guilty. Whereas a person with antisocial personality disorder will not feel any guilt even if they are murdering somebody. The suffering that the dead person underwent while dying, or the agony of the witness, the relatives who witnessed the murder, would not evoke any kind of guilt in this person. And they'll be ready for another murder the next day. I gave murder as an example of a crime. The same applies to other crimes, white-collar crimes like financial irregularities and so on. Absence of guilt is one of the major symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. So some amount of guilt actually protects us from developing this particular personality. At an organizational level, a guilt-prone person is considered as the most dependable person by the team. They don't have to be reminded about the workload or deadline. They would feel guilty much before the deadline and work accordingly. A guilt-prone person is an asset to the team. We saw some of the advantages of guilt, but what about the darker side? Some people stay guilty for a long time and feel miserable. They keep blaming themselves. They repeatedly ask themselves, how could I do that? They also wonder, if only I can go back in time to that particular date, I'll undo what I did and I will do things differently. Or they might think, if only I'm given another chance. Now, these kind of guilty ruminations have no end. Some people spend a long time in guilt that others get an impression that they are indulging in their guilt. Prolonged guilt and persistent guilt can lead to depression. It works both ways. Prolonged guilt can lead to depression, and vice versa is also true. A person who has depression is prone to guilt. He or she will feel guilty for even trivial things. If you are pronounced guilty by a court, the judge then proceeds to read out the punishment which will be according to the law. The judge will also quote the legal remedies available for you. But if your mind pronounces you that you are guilty, the punishment that it hands out will be harsher than what the benevolent judge would have given you. Severe guilt and prolonged guilt can immobilize a person. Guilt associated with depression can decrease a person's interest level and ability to enjoy. They'll punish themselves by depriving them of pleasurable experiences. They'll think, I'm a sinner and I don't deserve the good things in life. Some persons with severe guilt end their life as a punishment to self. There was this ancient custom in Tamil kingdoms where when a king realizes that he has done a big mistake, he follows a ritual known as Vadakku Nokki Irthal. In this, the king renounces his crown, selects a spot, sits there facing north, and fasts until death. Religion works both ways with guilt. Most religions have specific ways of helping a person with guilt. But at the same time, religion can actually make guilt worse by having a long list of do's and don'ts. We'll talk about religion and guilt in a separate episode much later. Now, how do we deal with guilt? Now, some amount of guilt for a short time is actually beneficial, but it's not worthwhile to have prolonged guilt as it defeats the purpose. If you are guilty about something, ask yourself, what can I learn from this guilt? Learn your lessons from the guilt and then throw it away. After that point, guilt has no use. Some people may not be able to throw away their guilt easily. It could be because the act is a major one or their perception of the act is such. In such a scenario, they can seek other ways of dealing with guilt, either psychotherapeutically, philosophically, or spiritually, and they can choose their path which suits them. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please tell 4 of your friends. Tell them there is a Tamil version also. Stay tuned because Mindscape matters. Bye.